Hello, I'm an old guy and I do maths. Now today we're going to look at the long division of polynomials, and that is long division with no remainder. That point is important. This is a starting video. This is where you learn how to take your first steps into the long division of polynomials. Now, what have we got here? Well, this is the polynomial we are trying to divide. X cubed minus 2x squared minus 13x minus 10. And we are going to divide it by this expression here, x plus 1. Now, if you've got to this point, you probably have done factor theorem, and so you might have an idea of how we arrived at this expression. If you haven't, have a look at my video on factor theorem. I'll explain this very, very briefly. What we do is we take this expression and we make it equal to 0. And then we put numbers into it. 1, -1, 2, -2. And if one of those numbers, which we've substituted in for x, makes this expression equal 0, we have found what we call a factor. And it's getting like a cooking program here, but this is one I prepared earlier. I know that this is a factor of this, and I know that we will get no remainder. Anyway, let's get to work. So, here's the thing we are dividing. Here's the thing we're dividing it by. Now, long division is also a bit of a novelty for a number of people. I know that division is taught in schools, but very often you work across the number you're dividing or across the expression. This form of division I've taken to calling old-fashioned division because everybody who sees me do it says, wow, that's old-fashioned. Anyway, this is what you do. So, what we want is we want to find a way that we can make x equal x cubed. It's as simple as that. You look at this and you say, what do I have to do to x to make it equal this? And the answer is multiply it by x squared. So we write x squared up here. And you'll notice that I have this, as neatly as I possibly can, arranged in columns. So I have the x cubeds, the x squareds, the x's, and the constants sort of lined up. Anyway, so we take this x squared and we multiply this expression by it. So x squared times x equals x cubed. X squared times 1 equals x squared. And then we take that away from these two expressions here. And what happens, of course, is the x cubed disappears. Negative 2x squared minus x squared gives us negative 3x squared. At that point, we bring down this number, this expression, negative 13x, and we ask ourselves the question, what do I have to do to x to get negative 3x squared? And the answer is I have to multiply it by negative 3x. Negative 3x times x will give me negative 3x squared. Negative 3x times 1 will give me negative 3x. And I subtract that from these expressions here. This disappears because it's negative, so it's essentially negative 3x squared plus 3x squared. I get nothing from that. Negative 13x minus negative 3x gives me negative 10x. and I bring down this next value here, negative 10. I then say to myself, once again, what do I have to do to x to get negative 10x? And the answer is multiply it by negative 10. So negative 10 times x is negative 10x. Negative 10 times 1 is negative 10. And once again, I will subtract that from this pair of expressions up here. And the answer that I get is 0, which tells me that, as if I didn't already know, because I had prepared this earlier, that x plus 1 is a factor of this cubic. Here's another factor. What we've wound up with here is a quadratic. And we can take that quadratic and we can factorize it. So here's a linear factor of this expression, x cubed minus 2x squared minus 13x minus 10, and here is a quadratic factor of it. We can break this quadratic factor up pretty easily. The factors of negative 10 that add to negative 3 are negative 5 and 2, and so we have the three linear factors of this expression. And you can use these to graph the equation of this cubic. But that's something for another video. Thank you very much for watching. I hope this proved helpful. There'll be a couple more in this series with slightly more difficult examples, and there'll be one that I attempt to do live. So fingers crossed I don't make too many mistakes. Thanks again for watching. Bye-bye.